Hello, beautiful souls. How are you today? I am doing reflections on this book, The Green Witch's Grimoire. Subtitle, Your Complete Guide to Creating Your Own Book of Natural Magic. You can see this is not a huge book. It was published in 2020, so the information in it, contained in it, is current. It's written by Arin Murphy-Hiscock, who I also have another one of her books called The Green Witch, Your Complete Guide to the Natural Magic of Flowers, Herbs, Essential Oils, and more. So I already know this author, and I like the way she writes. She does write a lot, but it's pretty easy to read, and her books are short, and it contains lots of good information. So specifically, here's what I would like to share with you about this book. First of all, it's 2 parts, it's 10 chapters, and it's 240 pages. So that gives you an idea of the depth of it. It includes recommendations for and references for resources for people who are interested in papercraft. Because remember, this book is about creating this living, breathing record of your practice. And I really like what the author writes in the beginning of the book, because I personally have started I probably have a dozen different journals that I've started and tried to make a grimoire, but I'm just never sure how to organize them. And you just get like a basic journal, like any kind of journal that you buy at the store, like a 3-ring binder, or not a 3-ring binder, but a 3-ring notebook. And then it's like, okay, how do you make this work? So I have like a dozen, I bet, that I've started over my almost 5 years of practice. And not one of them is thorough or probably even any good, because every time I look at them, like, I really need to get this together. So, but what she writes about, how she introduces this book in the beginning, to me, really spoke to me, because I never really thought of my grimoire, my book of shadows, or what I'm recording my practice in, and how I'm recording the correspondences and just the information that I've gathered over the years. I never really thought about it this way. So I want to read to you what she says. The author writes, a grimoire is an organic, evolving piece of art and magic. I love that. I've never, ever thought of my grimoire, which I usually call my book of shadows, excuse me. I've not thought of it as a piece of art, and it should be a piece of art. So I really love that. She goes on to say, it's a record of magic, spells, rituals, and a reflection of your spirit. It serves as a record of your work, journaling and chronicling your development, and a collection of learning and ongoing education. Just keeping that in mind when I think about my attempts at building a grimoire, I'm like, golly, if only I'd known in the beginning that this is what I thought. I was just supposed to be writing stuff down, but I never did really know how to organize it, because like, how do you find stuff? Once you start recording things in journals, how the heck do you find them? We're going to talk about that in a minute. So I feel like if you've ever struggled, like I have, to set up your own grimoire, and you have like a dozen or more journals sitting around where you've collected this, that, and the other thing, maybe you have one for plants and one for spells and one for a book like this book, or a book like this, can help you get organized and also get enthusiastic, and feel more of a connection, and not just like it's with your grimoire, and not just like it's a task that has to be done after you do magical work or collect information about properties of different, plants, herbs, recipes, whatever. So that's my little preface to it. But I will go ahead and share with you how this book is set up and some of the things that I really liked about it. So in the first, so here's what part one covers. It's an explanation of what a grimoire is, which I kind of gave you that in the introduction that I read. But it also tells you how to design it, including different systems for this, such as a bound book, a binder, a module system, a pocket grimoire, or a digital grimoire. It also goes over choosing paper and finding the perfect ink and pen. So you imagine, you've seen the pictures. We've probably all seen the pictures of the book, the grimoire that's like open with the beautiful writing in it, with the old English style writing and all that stuff, with the fancy paper. I dream of having something like that. I don't know that I ever will, because I'm not sure that I want to take the time for it. But if that appeals to you, this could inspire you to go ahead and do that. Because it's a lot of work. This is work, but it could be very rewarding too. So going on. So decorating, in addition to finding paper, choosing paper, and getting like ink and pen, fancy inks and pens, it talks about adding decorations and illustrations, blessing your book, keeping it private, especially if you live with other people, and just the need for that privacy to safeguard your practices and your information. So it gives you instructions on how to set up your grimoire and what it should include, including designing space for recording your practice, organizing your content, how to set up and use an index, which I think is so important because, as I said, I've started a dozen books. I don't know how to index them. I'm not sure how to organize this stuff. It can just be so many things. I just have page after page and then I can't find anything. Super frustrating. But it tells you how to set up and use an index so you can find things, really important. And then it gives you some common reference information like moon and solar energies, elements and quarters, seasonal cycles, and common tools and associations. So those type of things you can probably find almost anywhere. But the indexing part, I think, is tougher for us witches as we're starting out to try to get things organized. It's really about organization. So she goes on in part one to cover creating herbal entries. So this is where you're like documenting the plants that you either gather. So herbal entries, all the information that should be a part of that entry, like such as toxicity and warnings, geographical or medical information that's associated with the plant or herb, practical or historical uses, traditional magical information related to a plant or an herb, and your own magical information. Then physical descriptions and illustrations of photos. So if you're an artist, you can draw. If you're not artistic like me, you can cut out pictures, get them off the internet and then paste them or glue them in there. So that's the next thing. And so that's some of what is in part one. Now, this book does say green witch, but I mean, I call myself a solitary witch. I don't know what you call yourself. I'm not sure. Labels are always really helpful. But to me, a green witch is somebody who is really into plants and gardening and nature. I thought that was all witches, but maybe not. So, because I like plants and gardening and nature, especially nature. But so even though this book is stated for the green witch and does have some, what the author calls probably specific practices of green witches, any witch could incorporate any part of this into their practice if they wanted to. Again, it's plants, nature, flowers, weeds, whatever, herbs, all that stuff. Let's see. Okay, so here's a really fun part of this, which I think is just kind of, as you think about that beginning statement of her, where she's like, your grimoire is art and magic combined, right? So on into the first part of this, she gives you activities that you can do, like how to do pressing, how to press leaves and things, how to do leaf printing and stamping, and then nature art activities, which I just love that, because I don't want to just record like it's a task. I want to be able to get into it. And I feel like that section where she talks about the stamping and the collecting and how to press and how to make leaf drawings and all of these things, that sounds like a lot of fun to me. And it definitely makes the practice of putting things into your grimoire a lot more fun. See, so I didn't know anything about that kind of stuff. I mean, I've seen pictures of it, but then I don't know how to do it. This book explains that. So that's pretty much part 1. Tells you how to set it up, how to index it, what kind of things you're recording. If you're recording, you're recording information on an herb, a plant, what kind of things you should include. And it's a really good structure for it, and just will help you set up your grimoire. In part 2, the author covers actually using your grimoire. So here's her introduction to this section, which I also really love. Your grimoire isn't meant to sit on a shelf. It's meant to be used, and used often, thumbed through, scribbled on, written in, and consulted. So how many times have I started a journal, wrote like 5 pages in it, put stuff in it, and then stuck it on a shelf and left it there, never to go back again? Except one day I remember, it was like, I remember I had something written down about whatever it was. Where was that? So here she talks about using your grimoire. Let's see. So I think that the most important thing for me in this book is kind of the reset mindset about what a grimoire is, that it's a piece of art, that it's magical, that it's living, and that you should be using it often as a witch in your practice. You should be spending time with it. It should be a loving endeavor. You should enjoy it as you're sitting down to add things to your grimoire. I haven't started a grimoire like the way that she lays it out in this book, but it's inspired me to consider going down that path. Because like I said, 12 journals later, and I don't have anything cohesive about the information that I've collected over the last 5 years. And I'm going to make a confession right now. And this is a confession and a warning. Or I don't know if it's a warning, but a confession, and take it how you want. I've done spells. I did not record what I did. I did not record the ingredients that I used. I did not record anything about my spells. And shame on me for not doing that, because now when I say I did that love spell, and I can talk about the love spell that I did, and I can talk about some of the things that were in there because I remember it, and I can talk about the outcomes of it. But I wish now that I had written down exactly what I did, because I did have success with it. And and what was funny about the success of it is that I discovered after, because I wanted to bring romantic love into my life, I thought. And then when I got it, when the universe gave me what I wanted, I was like, oh, a guy that I met came on really hard and fast. And I was just like, oh gosh, I don't think I'm ready for this. So the result of that spell would have been, yes, I got what I want. And then I discovered it wasn't what I want. So all of that would have just been so great to record. And I did another one for money. And, so neither one of those, I didn't record them. And I'm really bummed about it now. So that's my caution for you. If you're a new witch and you're starting out on this, is start a grimoire. If you need help getting started, find yourself a book like this. There's numerous books out there on how to start and organize your grimoire. We're going to do a couple of videos on different books that Jamie and I have bought to help you pick the right book, because that's always a challenge. So let me know what you think about anything I've had to say about this book, or if you have this book, or if you have questions about grimoires, please put them in the comments. And we hope to see you again here on New Witch Academy of Modern Magic. Thanks.